there's this voice going, you know, you could do more than this today. Why are you doing such small increments? Are you dumb? Are you lazy? Are you weak?
People come to you with a problem. I need to lose 30 pounds, fix my marriage. I need a different job. And they want to take those massive actions. When we address how a specific person moves toward a goal or moves away from a problem, you see that massive change over their entire life.
The twist is that the first step of owning your change is...
So this thing we're going to talk about today, I know it sounds obvious. It sounds simple. You've probably heard it before, yet we do have a twist. So before you start eye rolling, because we have done our fair share of eye rolling here about this very thing.
If you're going to make a big change, start small.
And there it is. Now, here's the tricky thing. You are going to try to sabotage yourself when it comes to taking small steps. I'd say 90% of the people do.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I got that.
Well, there's this whole culture around big goals.
Yeah.
And just, getting into the discipline and embracing the suck. There's like that sort of Navy SEAL mentality. Tony Robbins is like, you just got to take massive action. And there's something to that. Mm-hmm. And I actually think that energy during the dreaming, goal-setting, ambition part of the process has some merit.
Yeah, I would say it does. Yeah.
Because it's emotion that gets us out of neutral.
Yes.
And gets us... Like we get fed up, right? or we feel like if things are just kind of going normal and I need something to really sink my teeth into.
Yeah. So we borrow that inspiration.
Yes.
We borrow that motivation, but that's the key word is we borrow it.
Right. And if you want to make a change for the long term, you have to own it. And that means not trying it on, not testing it out, but having ownership means you control it. It's yours. It's under your command. And this is where going tiny is a superpower. But if we're talking about changing your diet, for instance.
Yeah, that's a big one.
If you were eating the sad American diet, would I ever suggest you go lion diet? Well, I might think that would be a good elimination protocol for you for a while. But would I tell you to go straight there? Even the people who advocate it invented it. Michaela Peterson didn't go straight to lion. She incremented by eliminating things until all she was eating was red meat and water. And others who have since gone that route for a while didn't go straight there. And I would suggest that most people that go carnivore or vegan, but anyway, those who go carnivore pass through keto and maybe have passed through paleo and Whole30 and the zone diet, Mediterranean, on their way to finding their eventual resting spot that maintains their weight and their vitality. Mm-hmm. So they find that spot and then that's held up as like, okay, this is what you need to do. But to get there is not necessarily eliminate everything all at once immediately.
No, and we all love the transformation story.
And we did that. I mean, I did a massive elimination to go carnivore, and it was hard, and it was hard on my body. Would I have had better success had I been more incremental? Almost certainly.
Well, you also jumped off. The first time was not the sticking.
There can be an impatience of I want to rip the Band-Aid off, kind of a thing. So like if you were going to give up coffee for some strange reason, cold turkey might be less suffering because you wouldn't be thinking about how you're having less and less and less every day, when actually you'd have probably fewer headaches and fewer energy issues if you took tiny enough changes that your physiology would barely even notice because it was spread over such a long duration.
Now, how many times have you given up coffee?
I don't know, 5 or 6.
And how have you done that?
By not having any.
Cold turkey.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was...
And I'm still having to give it up every once in a while, apparently, because I don't own it.
You don't own it. And that's fine. You're not in the space to give up coffee now.
No.
It's not. But this idea of these tiny steps, it's something that I intellectually understood. But I hadn't really integrated it and I hadn't really embodied it. I think those are the steps. You get it intellectually, which is where most people are. Yeah, I got it. You integrate it through practice and consistency, and then you embody it. It is a part of who you are. So I feel like over the last 20 years, I've had some good practice embodying this idea of small steps. And yet, my wiring, I tend to be an overachiever. I'm the A student in the class, right? You see a smirk? Yes. And so sometimes my mind, it picks what it thinks is a tiny step, and it's still not tiny enough.
Because there's this voice going, you know you could do more than this today. Why are you doing such small increments? Are you dumb? Are you lazy? Are you weak?
Mm-hmm.
Are you just trying to pretend you're doing something by doing almost nothing so that you look to others like you're trying something? All of those little messages will be coming to you from yourself.
Oh, come on. Why even bother?
Yes.
Why even bother with this tiny step?
There's going to be the drill sergeant in the back of your head going, what is this? This isn't anything. You could easily do double this today.
Yeah.
And the twist that we're going to suggest to you today is that the first step of owning your change is owning the tiniest change, which is the daily practice.
Mm-hmm.
Before incrementing the effort higher, you have to lock in and own the practice.
Yeah.
And that is very counterintuitive.
Mm-hmm. Especially in this culture.
Yes, because say, for instance, it was some form of exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Like you wanted to do push-ups. And you can do 2 push-ups and you want to get to 50, right?
Right. Just a little leap there.
The small step thinking might be, okay, I'm going to do 2 push-ups 5 times today to get to at least 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then tomorrow I'll do 3 5 times a day, and you can see the progress. What I'm suggesting to you is that no, you don't own it yet until you can do 2 once a day for 7 to 10 days.
Once a day?
Once a day
2
for 7 to 10 days.
Ugh.
And the reason I'm saying that is because it's not about your capacity to do a number of push-ups. It's about your capacity to do a tiny, tiny, tiny thing.
With consistency.
Absolute consistency. You own the consistency before you own any increases. And a matter of fact, my framing would be you haven't earned the increase until you own the consistency for 7 to 10 days. You still are developing the consistency and the training to do tinier steps, which means you add 1 and do that 3 of them for another 7 to 10 days until you can get through your head the power of being able to control that whole noisy nonsense voice in the back of your head that says you're not doing enough, because it is of no use to you. We talked about getting that massive action energy is good for the goal setting and getting into motion.
Getting into motion.
It is terrible for staying in motion because you're relying on that emotion. Emotion gets you into motion, but then be smart after the start.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to be a ninja. You want to achieve your goals through stealth, inching toward them so that your body and your mind barely notices.
Well, this is huge because we just did a whole video. I did a special live stream on the Wheel of Fear operating system that we all have. And so by sneaking up on your goal, you're not triggering fear in any large way. Now, any forward movement does trigger a little bit of fear, But if you're being that stealthy, sneaky, you're not triggering the massive backlash, which comes as self-sabotage. Now, the thing is, what you do experience, we've already mentioned. When you move just those tiny steps, your fear is going to try to put you back in your place by that negative self-talk. That's the number one tool it will use when you're taking tiny steps, is minimizing what you're doing and negative self-talk.
You want to own your change because you want it to last.
Mm-hmm.
So if the incremental feels too slow and too lazy, that is a pattern of thought that has kept you from doing other things consistently in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So if you have this mental chatter of it not being enough, you're not doing enough, you're not working hard enough, you're not challenging yourself enough, that's the battle you need to win. You need to take complete ownership of that thing and shut it up and show it. No, the way to achieve is through tiny, tiny, consistent steps.
Now, you mentioned that this can sort of ripple out into other areas of your life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole thing. Well, with coaching, I am a certified fearless living coach, and that's what we work on. People come to you with a problem. I need to lose 30 pounds. I need to fix my marriage. I need a different job. So they come with these problems that are real world problems, and they want to take those massive actions to solve the problem. But what we do, yes, we address the problem. We do it incrementally. And we also address the process, which is what you're saying. It's all of the stuff that's going on beneath the surface of that problem. And when we address that, when we address how a specific person moves toward a goal or moves away from a problem, and we're addressing their feelings, their thoughts, their habits, then you see that massive change over their entire life. It's kind of quantum. It's kind of quantum.
Mm-hmm.
You're working very small in this one area, and the ripples are huge.
I come from a family of a lot of achievers.
Mm-hmm.
And so the chatter in my head is that whatever step I'm taking is way too small, way too low stakes. It's not what I was told explicitly, it's just the model. And it has been extremely destructive, because what happens is you get this sense of, well, if I'm not going to leave every ounce of my energy on the field every single day, why am I doing it at all?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the reason is you can't leave everything of yourself on the field every day, or you don't have anything left for your family or any other aspect of life. It's more intelligent, it's smarter to have a more process orientation. And the ultimate smart move is to fix your patterns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the way to fix your patterns is through tiny, tiny increments.
Yeah.
I want to give an example. I tried to write novels many times when I was younger, and it was only when I was challenged to NaNoWriMo in November of 2010, I want to say, 2011, that I actually completed my first manuscript. And the whole trick of it is that there was this pressure of complete 50,000 words in 1 month. Now, 50,000 words is probably the minimum to be considered a novel, I would guess,
Mm-hmm.
by most people. But it's doable in that you have to write about 1,700 words per day on average for 30 days to hit the goal.
That still sounds like a lot to me.
Now, 1,700 words is not nothing, but it taught me that I could easily do 1,600, 1,700 words a day, actually in just a couple hours. And it also showed me that if I really that's what I wanted to do, I could write several novels a year.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that hard to get the words. Now, plotting and characters and style and all that stuff, yeah. But just the simple showing up, typing words in, not knowing where they're going to go, you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same principle applies for making any change in life. So I want to give an example that I think a lot of our audience might relate to. You've been doing something like carnivore, keto, low carb, and you've hit a stall,
Mm-hmm.
a weight loss stall maybe. And doesn't seem like anything you're doing is making a difference. And so you're realizing I need to make some sort of change. I need to do an experiment. And I know I've done this. One of the ones I had to do is I just dropped dairy and all artificial sweeteners, and it broke through the stall.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it turned out that was an incremental step that was small enough for me to sustain and be successful. But I probably would have gotten the exact same results in almost the same amount of time if I would have just chosen one of those and cut it in half instead of eliminating it.
Mm-hmm. Then you would know exactly what lever to pull too.
I would have learned more from it, yeah, for sure. Because I still don't know which one was which that broke me through.
Yeah.
But impatience is one of the things that I get that is, it looks like I'm doing more and taking on more, but it's actually, impatience is a retreat.
Yeah.
From some other discomfort that I can't bear.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't train myself to increase my tolerance for whatever that is through that Band-Aid pull.
Well, fast results, I would guess. You know, if you're impatient,
yep.
You didn't train yourself around the impatience.
No, I didn't. I rewarded impatience.
Yeah.
In a way that didn't help me with other things in my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I hope that made sense. Because what I'm advocating is going way slower with just extremely small increments that are sustained, because it just trains the whole system and the whole mind to take the tortoise approach in order to be able to build. And then you build this history. You build this, you can look at it. If you keep a check mark of every day you do it, you see that, and that gives such a sense of confidence and power. And then when you don't give into that urge or that temptation to suddenly just take a huge jump up, because it could be satisfying because like, oh, I did it. I can do it. But it's better to exercise a different kind of discipline than what we would typically think of as discipline.
Right. Because the discipline you've been exercising probably hasn't worked for you in some way.
Yeah, it's self-flagellation that results in failure most of the time.
Ultimately results in failure.
It's like you can only coax yourself so far before one day your standard and your will no longer can align and it falls apart.
Now, you said something about making the check marks, building your confidence through consistency.
Yes.
And we actually, in the life coaching organization I'm with, we have a tool called the Keto Momentum. The Keto Momentum is that you actually do celebrate the success, like any forward movement at all.
Oh, this is so hard.
Yeah, any forward movement at all. And
yay, I tied my shoes all by myself. That's how I feel that in my body.
Yes. Yes. But if you don't give yourself the check mark, or even literally a calendar with a gold star, I know it sounds kindergarten.
Yeah.
You just did the childish voice. But once you rack up some gold stars, it's like, oh, okay, I've got this. That is what builds your confidence, not the cycle of overshooting and failing.
I have a point to make about this.
Oh, right. Make
Just
it.
a little flash of insight.
Yeah.
I got none of that training as a kid. I got no gold stars. It was A+ or an F. And therefore, I didn't build any skill around incremental process and improvement. And so now I have to actually go through this process of doing for myself what I needed when I was 5.
Yeah.
And while it feels super cringe, that very cringe is a huge part of the problem. And I think many adults need to build up a base, a foundation of very tiny accomplishment over and over and over and over again to build upon the next level and the next level. But what we can achieve through gold stars in 1 year is way more than you would ever think. if you limited yourself to adding one push-up a day, every 10 days, you would have 30 increases over the course of the year.
Yeah. So
you would be going, and do you think you could go from 2 push-ups to 32 push-ups in a course of a year? You'd be like, well, if anybody could do that. You could do that in a few weeks, of course. But who does?
But who does?
Maybe 0.1% of people bother with it. And you could do that and have energy left over to maybe do some body weight squats, go for a 15-minute walk, do some meal prep, incrementally with tiny, tiny, tiny endeavors, build a daily routine of things that seem insignificantly small. And just by virtue of having that collection in your daily routine, have up-leveled your life probably by 10x by the end of the year.
Yeah.
And looking back, people would be like, that's all you did? And you'd be like, yeah, but I did it. And you didn't do anything.
Yeah. This makes me think, this exercise example, this push-up example, makes me think of, number one, The Biggest Loser, right? Which
totally opposite of what we're saying.
Right. In this sphere of keto, carnivore, proper human diet, we all know the backlash from that. We get that, both mentally for a lot of people and metabolically as well. But that's what we were raised on, pretty much. Those are the types of big, massive actions, big results that we were raised on. But this also brings me back, because Jillian Michaels was one of the coaches on there. And it makes me think of when I was in my 30s. I've mentioned on this channel that my 30s were a really bad decade for me physically. I had no energy. I had very low mood, spent a lot of my time in bed, horribly hormonally imbalanced. And so what did I try to do? I bought the Jillian Michaels DVDs.
Yep.
And I was going to exercise my way out of it, because I was going to get those endorphins going, and it was going to work, right? That was my issue. And so not only mentally wasn't I prepared for that, but physically I just was not. My body could not handle that stressor.
There was no gas in the tank.
There was no gas in the tank. Exactly. So it actually wasn't only about bringing me back to my baseline. That would take me lower than baseline. And it was causing more harm physically and mentally, because how weak is that? Where's my boost, my exercise boost? So it was just a big negative, and it kept me, I had an exercise intolerance, some adrenal issues, and it probably set me back a decade rather than actually, had I known back then to take these incremental steps that didn't seem like they were going to be good enough, it might have done me a world of good.
I'm going to give you my sense of the fundamental takeaway here.
Okay.
If all you do is take a very, very simple undertaking and you create a piece of paper with a line or the date that's, divided into days, and all you do is put the X there that you did it, and it was so small that it's almost unbelievable that it was like more effort actually to do the X than to do the thing. You do it consistently day after day after day, and you train yourself in this skill, it will have more value than the thing you were actually doing to get the X.
Yeah.
This is the thing that will transform your life, is getting X after X after X after X, day after day after day after day of tiny, tiny, tiny increments.
And if that mental chatter comes up, the answer to it is yes, and I did it. Every time. Oh, that was pathetic. Yes, and I did it. That was not enough. Yes, and I did it. So follow it up with yes, and I did it.
And in this tiny way, you can be every day stronger.
Every day more blessed.